All right, so by now you all know how to access the assessment. You would access it from your home page after logging into the website. One thing I wanted to point out is we've had some candidates run into some login issues. You might be getting an Oracle Access error when you try to log into the web page. There are a couple of steps you can take to clear that up. One would be to just close down your browser and any other browsers that you might have open and open up a new browser and type the website directly into the browser. And there could be some issues with bookmarks or clearing your cache. What we'll do is once we pull together the FAQs that come out of this webinar, we'll add those steps into the FAQs that you can try those solutions to allow you access to the site. Don't just think that the site is down and give up trying to log in. So you would go into your assessment and into the submission system, and this should be familiar to everyone. I'll just go over a couple of pieces. You have the My Resources that Ethan talked about over on the left-hand side. That's going to take you back to the informational website where all the resources are available. Then you have the buttons here to upload and manage your artifacts. So that's going to take you to your library of artifacts. You should all be familiar with that. To upload permission forms, that button is also on this page. Okay, then you also have the task status chart. So as you can see, all of your tasks 1 are going to be flagged as submitted, and now tasks 2 and 3 are enabled. They have that hyperlink on them, and that means that you can go into those tasks. I'll just want to go into the permission forms information again. So you would click on the Upload Permission Forms button. It's going to take you to a pop-up box where you would select the blue button that says Select Files to Upload. You go through the browse on your computer, find your files, and then once the file's been accepted, you just have to do a little confirmation that you want us to upload that document, because once they're uploaded, you cannot remove them from the site. So you would just click on the Confirm to Upload, and then the form name is going to show up in a chart within that pop-up box, and so that you'll know it was successfully uploaded. You may need to look into file requirements. There are size requirements. There are naming conventions that you have to adhere to. Otherwise, the system will give you an error and won't let you upload the file. So just make sure you look into that as you are going through this step. The other area where you're going to be uploading documents is your library of artifacts. And again, you should all be familiar with this. Similar functionality where you click on the Upload Artifact button. You'll get a pop-up box. You'll select your file. And then once it's been successfully uploaded, the green bar will show up in that pop-up box. So now to access Task 2, you'll access it the same way you did Task 1. You'll click on the Task 2 link. Now, before you access Task 2 or Task 3, whichever one you access first, there's going to be a pop-up box that is called the Feedback Acknowledgement. And that's where we just want to know if you've received feedback from your professor or from your cooperating teacher, from someone about your response to Task 1. Now that feedback could be through the submission system, or it could also be feedback that you received face-to-face or through some other means with your instructor or the cooperating teacher. And we just want to know whether you received it or not. This will be presented only one time just to get your response. Then you'll proceed into Task 2. Here's an example of the task page, and it has a similar layout to Task 1 with instructions at the top of the page. There's some new features in Task 2 and 3 and also in Task 4. We're going to be asking you for your content area. That is the content area that for the certification area for which you're student teaching. And you would just click on the Select Content Area button, and a pop-up box will appear, and we just ask that you select the content area. This is, in most cases, your content area is going to be the same for your entire student teaching assignment, but some of you may have dual majors, or you may have dual student teaching assignments where you may work on task 2 on one assignment and task 3 on another one. So we're just collecting this information so that it can help with distributing responses to the raters. So also on the task page, I just want to point out, again, the buttons are available for you to upload permission forms from this page or upload any additional artifacts. So you can get to both of those libraries from here. The task is laid out the same as task 1, where the steps, you have different bars for the different steps of the task. And another new feature is the contextual information text box. You did not have that for task 1, but you will have that for task 2, 3, and 4. And the contextual information is, it's there for you to give some background information to provide the raters with a picture of your classroom environment so that they have an understanding of the context with which your responses are made from. This information is not scored. It's there, as I said, to give the rater some background. There is a limitation. It's a 1,500 character limitation, and this text box has its own character counter, and it's going to be separate from the rest of your responses. So you would just click on the character count button above the text box, and it's going to give you a tally of where you are with reaching that 1,500 characters. There's an example of a response where if you try to save this text box, then your character limit, you've gone over the character limit, the response will not be saved. So you'll have to edit it in order for the response to be saved. But again, this counter is separate from the rest of your responses. So again, it's limited to the 1,500. You don't attach any artifacts here, and if it's okay that this information can get copied and pasted into your task 3 and your task 4 responses as long as it's still the same, it still applies. So it's okay that it gets copied over because each of your tasks goes to a different rater, and those raters need to have that background information for each task response. So here's an example of one of the task 2 text boxes. Again, it's laid out the same as task 1. You have your activity, your guiding prompts. We list out the artifacts that are required for the text box, that are required for the response, and that you need to include those and link to those artifacts. Now, again, you have the character count button again above this text box. Now this is going to give you a tally of all of your text box responses for the task, excluding the contextual information text box. So you want to make use of that to keep track of where you are in building your response. The Save Response button will just save the text box that you're working on. It'll only save that response. It won't save any other responses. So you'll be entering your information. You'll either be typing directly into the text box, or as Ethan said, you may be working on your responses outside of the system, and you're going to copy and paste it into the text box. And we just ask when you use the copy and paste with the mouse that you, instead of just selecting the paste by itself, select the paste as plain text when you're pasting that information into the text box. So once you have some content in the text boxes, and if it's a text box that requires an artifact, you need to link your artifacts back to these text boxes. And it's very easy to do. You highlight several words of your response, and as soon as you highlight them, if you can see evidence gathered here is highlighted, the Link My Artifacts button becomes activated. You click on that button. The pop-up box appears that shows you all the documents you have uploaded into your library of artifacts. You select your document that you want to link, and you click on Link Artifact. and then you can see the yellow highlight shows you that an artifact is linked. And this is something good to look at as you're reviewing your responses before you do the submit. Just go back through, and if the text box has been noted that it requires an artifact, make sure that you have something highlighted in the text boxes. And you want to make sure that you're including every artifact that's required for the text box, so that that will affect your score if they're not all attached or they're not all linked. And also, even though it's uploaded into your library of artifacts, it absolutely has to be linked to your response within the particular text box. Now, if you find that you've linked to an artifact and you're not sure what the artifact is, you would just put your cursor within the highlighted area, and then the View Link and Remove Link buttons will appear. They only appear if your cursor is within what's been already linked. And you would just click on View Link, and you'll be able to identify which artifact you've used there. And then the Remove Link will just remove the link, and the artifact will no longer be linked. So one of the other things I wanted to point out, we showed you how you can save at the text box level, and then you also have Save All Responses, and that's something that you want to do before you navigate away from the page, so that all the text box responses are saved. And then you would want to submit your response when you're ready. After you've reviewed and made sure that you've addressed everything, you would click on Submit Responses. Again, this is all the same as what you did for Task 1. You go through the submission terms, and you click on the Yes, Submit, that you agree to the terms.